Okay, good evening here from here in New Zealand. Good morning to those of you who are just waking up. Welcome to this Verbaling class. My name is Teacher Amy, and today's class is about isolation and loneliness. We're going to be reading an article. It's quite a long one, but a very interesting one today. We may not get through the whole article, but you are very welcome to finish off reading at the end of class, and do feel free to send me a message if you get stuck on anything. But it's an interesting topic. The idea of isolation, um, being completely by yourself, or loneliness, which is perhaps not exactly the same thing. So we are going to have a think about the difference between those two words and read an article about this topic today. So our focus is practicing our reading skills and our pronunciation, hopefully increasing our vocabulary, and then just practicing some speaking on this topic. So do come along in if you've reserved a spot for this class. While I'm waiting for the students to get here, I'll just let you know about some of the stuff that can help you with your time here on Verbaling. So the first thing I want to talk about is my Verbaling Teacher Facebook page. And this is a good way just to keep in touch, really, just the amazingness of Facebook, but with a Verbaling theme. What could be better than that? So check out my Facebook page and the other teachers to see what kind of stuff we post, interesting things that I find during my week at work, stuff I think might help you with your learning, interesting, weird things that are related to English, and also upcoming classes, and sometimes also feedback or extra comments after a class that's been particularly interesting or successful or has caused students to want to carry on talking. So do go and check out my Facebook page if you'd like to. The other page that's quite cool to check out is my Verbaling Teacher page, which has a bit more information that can help you with your navigating around the Verbaling world, I could say. You'll see my calendar there, so if you are interested in any private tutoring sessions, they're a good way to increase your knowledge of something in particular, practice something that you really need to practice yourself, because you get me just one-on-one time to really focus on something that you need to focus on. So that is a good way of sort of supplementing your experience here on Verbaling if you like attending classes. Excuse me, you will see my timetable there on the Verbaling Teacher page along with my upcoming classes, so if you enjoy them then do click on the blue follow button and you'll receive automatic notifications, which is quite handy. And the last thing to point out is that there is a messaging feature which is working fantastically well. I love it. You can get in touch with me for any reason through the Verbaling messaging system to ask a question or find out more about tutoring or whatever you like. So do go ahead and do that if you wish to. Okay, so let's have a look and see who we've got today for our wonderful class on loneliness and isolation, which does sound a bit depressing, doesn't it? But it's going to be interesting, I promise you. All right, firstly, let's say hi to Michael.
Hey teacher, Amy,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Michael?
I'm great. What's shaking?
I love it. How's your English going?
It's like what are you doing? How have you been? It's the same.
Yeah, it's very kind of like slang, but
Slang?
it's just funny to hear you say it. Yeah, it's great. I love
Well,
it.
some US teachers they talk like that here, so
Absolutely.
I picked up.
Great. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that. How's
Yep.
studying going? I haven't seen you for a while.
Well, studying is going so-so.
Oh.
I'm in the so I kind of forget words when I want to talk or to write. I kind of cannot recall some advanced words, like simple words I can use, yeah, in conversation,
Mm.
but more advanced, like better words, maybe sophisticated, I cannot them recall at the right time, like very
Mm.
quickly. I need some time, like 30 seconds maybe. Maybe I should look up on the Google, so this is very frustrating for me. I don't know what is the problem. My memory, I should like improve my memory somehow or something to do. This is honestly the same. This is
Yeah. Sometimes, Micah, what I think happens is that you have maybe an imbalance between your studying. Are you reading or listening much?
well. I join like 5 classes per day, average, like 5 classes per day, and also I read some articles, not like every day, but maybe a day and after day. So a day I read, and after one day.
Every other day.
What?
Every other day.
And what that means?
That means what you're just talking about.
Yeah. So every other day I read like 1-2 articles maybe, and I watch some videos, and that's all what I do.
All right. That sounds like you're doing a lot to me. But
A
what
lot?
I would suggest is, this
What?
is just a tip. If you're forgetting words or that you can't think of them when you need to, it's because they're somewhere in the back of your brain. This is not a scientific explanation, by the way. However, the way I help myself when this happens to me is to increase the input of native language. You don't have to focus on it. You just have to input more. So listen more, even if it's on in the background. Read more without studying, just read, and if you don't understand all the words, it doesn't matter, because it's like refreshing or something, and it really helps me. I don't know if it will help you, but you might want to give it a try.
Okay, I will try. Definitely. But okay, I will definitely try to like 10 hours to be in English or something. Now I'm like 5 hours per day, but it will be 10 hours.
Well, maybe it's just a case of changing the balance of what you're doing, Michael, rather than increasing. Maybe decrease something else.
Okay. Well, Lucy, what have you been doing? I mean, how have you been?
Working so hard. I've been working so hard. I always I'm working hard.
Only that, or something else?
No, I'm actually directing a children's musical right now. It's on in 3 weeks. Oh. So I'm very busy with that as well. Yeah.
Okay. So you are a musician or what? Okay.
All right.
You should put on Facebook a song or something.
I may do that. We'll have a think about it, Michael. All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome. You'll check. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll definitely have to now.
Okay.
All right. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
All right. Who else do we have here? Jade. Hello.
Hi.
Jade, have I met you before?
No. Today is my first time to participate in your class.
Great. It's lovely to have you. Where are you from?
I live in Sweden.
You live in Sweden? Are you Swedish?
Yes. Technically, I am.
Technically, that sounds interesting. All right. Well, I've never had a student from Sweden before, I don't think. So, congratulations.
It's my pleasure.
All right, Jade. Welcome to the class. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Same here.
Who else do we have here? Ismail.
Hi, teacher. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, Ismail. How are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you, teacher. How are you?
Excellent. I'm fine. And how have your classes been going since I last saw you? Okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Good. Well, that's good to hear. Slow but steady, perhaps. No?
Yes.
Fast and you're making heaps of progress?
At the start, a little, it was fast, but after a while, I think the speed is decreasing.
Yeah. That is totally normal, Ismail. It happens to us all.
Yes.
All right, well, keep going, keep going.
After a while.
Yeah. It does drop your speed. Obviously, when you're a beginner, you've got so much and you learn a lot. And when you get to sort of intermediate, advanced level, things tend to slow down a bit. So don't worry about that. It's perfectly normal.
We should spend more time, maybe.
Like Michael, exactly. All right, welcome Ismail. Good to have you.
Thank
Who
you.
else do we have here? Isaac.
Hi, teacher. Good morning.
Hello. And I love your picture, Isaac. Is that your girlfriend, your wife, your sister?
My wife.
Your wife. Lovely to meet you. Where are you from?
I'm from Spain,
You're from Spain. Woohoo! Which part?
Valencia.
Oh, another Valencian is here, Carmen. Well, it's nice to meet you, Isaac. I haven't met you before, have I? No, I don't think so. How long have you been learning on Verbling for, Isaac?
Oh, this is my third class on Verbling.
Wow, you're a newbie. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you, thank you.
Let us know if you need any help with anything, okay?
Okay.
All right. Who else do we have here? Faisal. Haven't seen you for a couple of days. How are you?
Not too bad, and how about you?
Excellent, thank you. And how's stuff going? Is life okay for you?
Yeah, I think it's okay, but I'm waiting for my new school. Two weeks, next 2 weeks, and then yeah, I just prepare for my task and going to YouTube and finding all material what I need, all I need, and then yeah, study hard. Even though now I have been graduated from my current school.
Wow,
Yeah.
so you're gonna start something new and something big quite soon.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, well, good luck with that. Keep on preparing. I'm sure you'll be great at whatever you do. Welcome to the class.
Thank you.
And hello to Carmen. How are you today?
Hello, Amy. Good morning to everybody in the room. I'm just great, thank you.
Excellent.
What about you?
Tell me. Pardon?
What about you?
I'm great, Carmen. I was going to ask you what the weather's like over in lovely sunny Spain as I
You're
sit here
still
with my
missing
jumper.
us. You should come back to Spain. Well, well here it's not that well. It's warm, but it's not that hot. It's for me the perfect time. No hot, no
Definitely.
cold. Yeah.
I should definitely come over there for a holiday. I wonder if I can squeeze one in. All
I don't know.
right.
Are you Wellington? Where are you in New Zealand? Where do you
Auckland.
live
I'm in Auckland.
Oh,
The
okay.
weather actually has been fine. It's been a lot colder. This year's strange weather. It's still relatively warm. It doesn't get very cold here anyway. It gets rainy. That's the only thing. So we get lots of sort of really blustery, rainy, stormy days, and you get soaked if you go outside, and it's impossible having an umbrella because it's just like...
How many degrees? I mean, is it sticky kind of weather with the rain?
No, I think it's sort of 15-ish at the moment.
Okay then, so it's not bad.
No, not really. It doesn't get much below 10 usually, so yeah. All right, guys. Well, welcome to all of you. The topic for today's lesson is isolation and loneliness, and I have got an article that we're going to read, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the class, it's quite a long one, but it brings up some interesting points, and I would like to use this class sort of as a half-speaking, half-reading class. So we're going to be doing some reading, but also talking about the topic, because I think it's an interesting one. So before we start reading, I just want to get your opinions. Personally, I think there's a difference between isolation and loneliness. I would like to ask you, do you think there's a difference, and what do those two words really mean? So I'm going to go first of all to Michael.
Isolation and loneliness.
Yeah,
Well,
what do they mean? What's the difference?
Okay, for me implies isolation when you are completely alone. So you don't have anyone near you. You're isolated, for example, in a forest or in somewhere in the ocean, like alone. But loneliness, you could be you could be surrounded by people, but you could feel like lonely.
All right. And what is the feeling of being lonely?
I presume like sad feeling or something.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Thank
that.
you, Michael. Yeah, great start. Who else can I ask? Ismail, do you agree with Michael?
Yes, I agree generally with Michael. I think that isolation is more deeper than loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
They have some psychological parameters, and when I think isolation, it depends not on ourselves. We can uh, be isolated by other people's too, if we don't want something like this.
Okay, that's interesting. An interesting
But
point. Yeah.
loneliness is depend more on us. For example, sometimes I like loneliness. I want to be nobody around me sometimes.
Okay, I'm going to propose that what you like, Ismail, is not actually loneliness, but solitude. Have you heard that word before?
Yes, I
I
heard,
think
I have heard before solitude.
so. That means it's like a positive word that means being by yourself, nobody else there.
Loneliness more negative than solitude.
Loneliness is more about the feeling that you have, whereas solitude is like the state that you're in, I suppose. The situation, maybe.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ismail. I want to ask Faisal a different question. Faisal, are you the type of person who feels lonely often, or never, or ever?
Um, it kind of depends of the situation. If the is, for example, in the classroom when I'm in there's my friend. I've I've act I've acting a little bit of chatty or kind of not feel lonely. But when my classroom there's not my friend, they're just a person who came from another class to came to my class. Yeah, I feel that because nobody noticed me, and then they talk by their friends and they kind of ignore me, kind of that. Yeah, it depends on the situation, kind of that.
Absolutely. So loneliness in some ways doesn't have actually anything to do with whether people are there or not, right? You could feel really lonely when there's a lot of people around, but nobody's actually taking any notice of you, as you
Yeah.
said. I'm sure that's happened to all of us, Faisal, for sure. All right, how about Jade? Jade, do you get lonely ever?
Yes, sometimes I feel lonely, but
What kind?
it's I like solitude. Solitude. This word is express me very much. I like solitude. So
All right, and
lonely sometimes if it's not physically lonely, just in my mind, inside. Maybe I feel confused sometimes, so I feel lonely. No one could exactly understand me, so I feel lonely. That's kind of lonely, not physically lonely.
yeah, emotionally lonely, perhaps.
Yeah, emotional lonely.
Interesting point, Jade. Yeah, if you're having an experience that nobody else is relating to, or possibly you're the only one having that experience, then you could possibly feel lonely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, just one moment and we'll say hello to Ken.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello. How are you?
You've changed your picture to me, Ken.
Yeah, it always happens after I click on the camera. I can't show my icon. I don't know how to solve it. Sorry.
That's okay. It's a bit of a shock, but I can cope. How
Yeah,
are
it's
you?
kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know how to fix it. But maybe.
Don't
Anyway,
worry. There are worse problems in life to worry about.
uh, yeah.
Ken, we're just talking about loneliness and isolation, and
Mhm.
I've just been asking some of the other students
Mhm.
what they think about those two concepts, and
Mhm.
also whether or not they get lonely. So, do you ever get lonely?
Yeah, sure. I think most of the humans, well, all humans are lonely. You
Hmm.
know? Yeah, kind of how to deal with that loneliness is one theme of our life, I guess.
Absolutely. I want to come to that exact point later. How to deal with it, what you guys do when it happens to you. Let's just see who else we haven't asked yet. Isaac, are you the type of person to get lonely, or do you enjoy solitude? What kind of a person are you?
Oh, really? I think I need some moments of solitude during the week.
Hmm.
In fact, I like running, and I need to go for a run lonely,
Alone.
alone. Sorry. I need this time to, to think
Hmm.
uh, about something, or yeah. I think
Okay.
I need,
You enjoy it.
yeah, as
Yeah,
I
for
see, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sure that's definitely true for other people. Me, certainly. Carmen, what about you? Do you get lonely ever?
Do I get lonely? Well, I think everybody gets lonely from time to time, but it's sometimes I am not this kind of person who likes to be lonely. That's what it's thought. But sometimes I it's like I need to be alone, and I search that kind of solitude on my own. And but on the whole, I don't really like to be alone. I need people around.
All right, it's interesting, isn't it? How I think generally people are really different with regard to how much time they need by themselves and how much time they want to be with other people. I think
Hmm.
this is something that differs quite a bit in humanity. Just I don't know why it differs so much. Maybe it's to do with like your genes or possibly to do with your environment. I know in my life I used to need a lot more time by myself, and I've sort of maybe because of my living situation, have grown more accustomed to being around people. I'm not sure. Let's have a think about it. I'm going to get us to start reading the article. So let me give you the link. Here we go. Put it into the chat box, guys. I'm going to do a screen share because I think it's easier that way. And we're just going to read short parts today. Not going to give you too much each, so that everyone has a fair chance. And I'm going to start off with Ken, because you're at the beginning of my list, Ken. Could you read out the title, please, for us?
Okay. How extreme isolation wraps the mind.
Okay, this word here is warps.
Warps the mind. Yeah, warps.
Yeah. Do we know what warps means?
Like space warps in space.
Yep. And what is a space warp, actually? That's a good question.
To move this point from the space other point the space quickly.
Yes. All right, exactly. So if you're a sci-fi fan, you'll already know that. But to warp, just the verb, not related to space. Can anyone tell me? Sorry, I'm laughing at Carmen's comment. Can anyone tell me what warp means, just by itself? Maybe a synonym?
Warp?
No? Sorry, who was that?
It's to become, or cause to become bent or twisted out of shape.
Yeah, exactly. Like a twist, a turn, a bend, a curve, any of those. So it twists your mind. Now the word warp is slightly negative in English. It has a bit of a negative connotation. It's not really something that you want to happen. So you can have a look at that kind of interesting picture. It's a bit of an optical illusion. I didn't notice at first glance, but have a look at that later. And Ken, could you read a little bit more for us, please, from here?
Okay. Sorry. When people are isolated from human contact, their mind can do some truly bizarre things, says Michael Bond. Why does this happen?
Keep going, Ken.
Okay. Sarah Shurat's mind began to slip after about 2 months into her Inca creation. She heard phantom footsteps and flashing lights, and spent most of the day crouched on all fours, listening through a gap in the door.
Thank you, Ken. This word here is a little bit tricky. It's incarceration.
Incarceration.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so what I'd like to do is just to give you the opportunity, everybody, to ask about any vocab that we don't understand. Each time we read, we'll do this. So if you want to make a note of anything while we're reading, that makes it quicker.
I've got
are there
a
any
question for
words?
you, May.
Sure.
When you talk about incarceration, does it mean to be in jail, or just that you're in captivity or isolated because you wanted it?
No, it's to be in jail, Carmen.
Okay then. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. So she's in jail.
Crouched on all fours.
What's all fours?
Legs and
Legs and hands. Yeah, legs and arms, basically.
and
So like
crouched,
an animal.
like sitting in position, or what?
To crouch is to get really close to the ground, Michael. It's like if you bend your knees and sit like right down on your legs, that's kind of crouching. Anything which is sitting close to the ground but not actually on the ground.
Okay.
Is it like the babies crawl?
No, not exactly, because they crawl on all fours, right? Their knees are touching the ground. To crouch is generally that your feet are on the ground, but the rest of your body's not. You're just bunched up somehow. So your knees are bent, your arms might be supporting you, but generally your knees aren't on the floor, no.
Okay, thank you.
What kind of discussions we get into in English classes? All right. Any other questions? No? Okay, Carmen, could you continue, please?
Okay, what is it? That summer, the 32-year-old had been hiking with 2 friends in the mountains of Iraqi Kurdistan when they were arrested by Iranian troops after straying onto the border with Iran. Accused of spying, they were kept in solitary confinement in Evin prison in Tehran, each in their own tiny cell. She endured almost 10,000 hours with little human contact before she was freed. One of the most disturbing effects was the hallucinations.
Thank you, Carmen. Beautiful reading. This one is confinement.
Confinement. It's like captivity.
Yes.
Okay.
This phrase here, solitary confinement, is a specific collocation, and it's used to talk about this exact situation whereby somebody is in prison, but they're not sharing a cell with anybody. They're completely on their own. And it's sort of like used as a punishment, basically. So you probably have the equivalent of that in your own languages. I'm not sure. I'll paste that into the chat box. All right, so next we have Faisal. Does anyone have any questions about vocab, sorry?
Teacher, can we say the 32 years old with S in the first line?
This one here. Yeah, this is an interesting point. Because this is working as an adjective, because I know that we don't have a noun here, but we could have, for example, woman. So when we say the 32-year-old, it's functioning as if it were an adjective, and it therefore does not have an S. If you're using it as just a description, like she was 32 years old, then you do need the S. But you can see that we've got hyphens here, and they're a clue to tell you that, yeah, we don't have the S in this type of situation. It's the same with any kind of measurement or number. The 35-kilometer road, for example. But you could say the road is 35 kilometers. So if you use it before the noun, then yes, you drop the S and you usually have hyphens. Okay. Any other questions? No.
Straying onto?
Okay. Straying. Straying onto the border. Anyone know what stray means? To stray?
Yeah, it's like a stray cat to go around the the village.
Yes, exactly.
It's like you're lost or something.
It's like, okay, so a stray cat is a great example. A stray cat doesn't have a home, right? So it wanders around. And if you stray, then you are wandering around, or you're not following the path. You're not on any path, you're just going in all directions, for example.
Okay.
Okay. Read this one, please. In the periphery of my vision.
In the periphery of my vision, I began to see flashing lights, only to jerk my head around to find that nothing was there. She wrote in the New York Times in 2011. At one point, I heard something screaming, and it wasn't until I felt in the hands of one of friendlier gods of my face, trying to revive me, and I realized screams were my own.
Great, thank you, Faisal. Vocab, guys. What's the periphery of somebody's vision?
It's a synonym of, in my view, or kind of sharing somebody's opinion, kind of that.
Actually, no, not in this case. Good try, but no. It's talking specifically about your literal vision. But what part of the vision is it?
On the sides.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So it's the edge or the sides. You know how you like look straight forward, but you're aware of things happening just outside where you can see. That's what it's talking about. Okay. I think the rest of the words are pretty straightforward. So let's go on to Isaac. We all
want to be alone from time to time, to escape the demands of our colleagues or the hassles of crowds, but not alone. For most people, prolonged social isolation is all bad, particularly mentally. We know this not only from reports by people like Short, who have experienced it firsthand, but also from psychological experiments on the effects of isolation and sensory deprivation, some of which had to be called off due to the extreme and bizarre reactions of those involved. Why does the mind unreveal so spectacularly when we're truly on our own? And is there any way to stop it?
Thank you, Isaac. Great reading.
Welcome.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about the words in that paragraph?
Yeah. Hassle of crowds.
Okay, what does hassle mean? This is a good word.
I don't know.
Does anyone know?
But hassle, struggle. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice way of putting it. It's sort of one of those words that we use quite colloquially usually. If something's like a big hassle, it's like a pain. It's something annoying. It's causing us irritation, or angst, or some kind of uncomfortable feeling. So a crowd is obviously a large group of people, and it's talking about coping with being going through lots of people and how annoying it is, you know, finding a parking space, all that kind of stuff, I guess. Any other questions? No?
Unravel?
Unravel. Okay, what does unravel mean?
It's not shown.
Not shown? Can you repeat what you just said? I didn't quite catch it.
It's like a thing that's not been shown.
I'm not quite sure what word you're trying to go for there, Isaac. Can you type it for me in the chat box?
No, I think I was
Maybe.
confused.
That's okay. I just unraveling is the best example that I can think of is, for example, a woolly jumper, a jumper made of wool, right? And then a piece comes loose, a strand of wool comes loose, and if you pull it, your jumper will start to unravel. It means come undone, lose its shape, become messy, basically, or not together. So if your mind is unraveling, it means you're losing control of it, sort of.
Uh-huh.
Its shape is becoming distorted, something along those lines. All right, I think it brings up an interesting point, so let's talk about this for a moment. I'm imagining and I'm hoping that nobody in this room has ever been in solitary confinement. Do let me know if I'm wrong. I hope to goodness it's not true. But what I do want to ask is, at what point do you become lonely? So at what point does being in solitude, which is very pleasant, turn into loneliness? Does anyone want to attempt to answer that?
Actually, you know, kind of not only the solitary confinement, but also human sometimes feels loneliness in a crowd or in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of isolation. I mean, alienation, feeling of
alienation. Yeah,
alienation.
Yeah. It's another really good word. Mm-hmm.
For me, the difference is that you choose it or not. I mean, when you want a little bit of solitude, you choose it. For instance, you have had a busy day, and just as Isaac said, you just go running, and you just find this solitude can be very rewarding to you. But when you talk about loneliness, sometimes you don't choose it at all. It's just the feeling that you've got when you're, for instance, you're surrounded by people, but you still feel alone. So it's something that you don't choose. It's something that is imposed on you because you're feeling that way.
All right, interesting, Carmen. I hadn't thought about that. Anyone want to respond? Do you agree? Is the loneliness something that you do not choose, and that's why it's a bad feeling? Nobody knows? All right, in that case, it's a difficult topic, I know that's for sure. It's kind of an interesting one, though. What do you do about it? If you become lonely and you notice, oh, I'm feeling lonely, is it easy to resolve? What kind of things, what do you do to take action? Let's ask Jade. Jade, what do you do to combat loneliness?
For me, I'm gonna try to figure out where this lonely comes from first. and then I try to talk with my friends, my family, and then I try to watch some comedy to make me feel
To cheer you up.
to cheer me up. Yes.
That sounds like a really great strategy. I might make a note of that, Jade.
So
Okay, so I like the way that you say you first work out where it comes from. Can you give us an example of maybe one possibility?
lonely. Actually, the lonely. I'm all. I don't have too much lonely experience in my life. Actually, if I want, there are always people around me or around people. It's very difficult. You know, sometimes I feel lonely. Just maybe I'm a little bit emotional
Yeah.
to feel this kind of feeling. Yeah, so I it's for me it's okay.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that, Jade. You don't have a problem with it. Okay, thank you. Let's ask Michael. Michael, what do you do? Do you ever get lonely? What do you do when you get lonely?
Well, I think it's difficult to get lonely nowadays for an average person. Yep.
Why?
Just because you have a lot to do, a lot of things to do. You have work, you have like family, and you have friends, and you have like a lot of things to do.
Studying English?
Maybe to study English, but not only that. So there's like a lot of things like to do. It's not. I don't know who would get lonely. The only person who would get lonely I can think of if, for example, they don't want, they choose that by themselves. Like if you really don't want nothing to do, you have apathy. Yeah, apathy.
Yes.
The word. If you are apathetic, yeah, or.
Yeah.
It's very hard to pronounce for me. Apathetic. So. Sounds weird. So if you are apathetic to things or something, you have a depression, I presume. You feel lonely because of that, because you have like a depression, you know, something wrong with you. But if you are okay, you have a lot of things. You can go always. You have a friend or something to do something.
All right. I think that's a really interesting point of view, because it strikes me in a way that, yes, you're right, Michael. I can't deny that there's a lot of stuff that's happening, and there's so many ways to connect up with people. I'm not too sure if that actually helps with loneliness or not. Is there anybody who has a different opinion, or do you all agree with Michael?
Let's ask in this way: who is lonely from the class? And tell us about your experience.
Nobody, Michael, because we're in a verbling class and we're having a great time.
No, but in other like days, maybe. Why you are lonely and how do you feel lonely? I would like to hear about that.
All right. Is anyone willing to tell us? Has anyone been lonely in the past couple of weeks? No, I think actually verbling is the cure for loneliness. Maybe we should suggest it as a new advertising concept.
Emmy?
Yes. Ismail, tell us.
I have some experience about this. I was not totally lonely, but I lived 6 months with some friends on the mountain. It was not so good experience actually to live in difficult condition on the mountain. You lose something from your soul. Your psychology are going to be changed after a while. I look many mature men who were whining because of the difficulties on the mountain. It was very stressful. You couldn't get enough food and enough water to drink. The environment was very harsh. The weather was very cold in the night, and the daytime was scorching. And so on.
Ismail, I'm listening intently.
Yes.
So this
If
is...
you ask some question,
Yeah, I would like to ask you some questions. When you say on the mountain, can you explain to us a bit more? Where is this? Which country are you from?
I am connecting from Turkey.
Okay, and did you spend this time on the mountain in Turkey?
Yes.
And why did you do it? Were you forced to do it? Or did you choose to?
It was associated with my job, actually.
All right, and this just sounds like an amazing...
It was a project, but the environment was very harsh. We couldn't have some routes.
Mm-hmm.
We can get only a connection with a helicopter, and it is not always. We cannot have a chance to use helicopter always.
Mm-hmm.
Ismail, I've got a question for you. I mean, what you felt there was isolation or was loneliness?
I think it is...
because you were with other people. I mean, you were not alone.
Not the same living in a confinement or in a prison, but it seems like this because we have lived there 6 months, and if
but it was because you were isolated from the outer world, because you had a lot of difficulties there.
We were not totally isolated from the world, but the condition was very difficult, and we were living in this difficult condition 6 months long.
So it sounds to me, Ismail, as if you were much more isolated than you had ever been. Even if you weren't totally isolated, compared to the rest of your life, it was isolated. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So that's a really interesting example. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think what Carmen was trying to establish is, was it mainly a feeling of isolation, like being cut off, or did you feel lonely for missing your family or something like that?
Yes, actually, for example, we were speaking everything with our friends, and there was no subject to talk to each other. Everybody knows everything from you, and
no
I know.
privacy.
We couldn't find any new subject to talk about.
That sounds like a really tough experience, Ismail.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't see too much light in the night. You only watch the stars in the sky.
Wow. Tough, but in some ways amazing in my imagination. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to just go back to what Michael said, because I think he mentioned that he thinks it's unlikely that people can get lonely in our world, and I think probably in some ways that is true. I find it hard to think that maybe people, roughly young-ish people to middle-aged people, can get lonely, but is it different, do you think, for the older generations? Because
Yeah, I
our
think
culture
so.
has changed a lot. Yeah?
Yeah, I
Go
think
for
so.
it, Ken.
After the retirement, some people trying to do something else. But if the person began to have dementia or some other disease, not only the senior citizens but also some people who suffers this kind of that sickness, and yeah, they they are uh, they are alone because talking about dementia, their recognition pattern can to be different. Uh, so it's very difficult to communicate or to recognize this world or people's feeling. So, so they seems to be isolated, and taking care of dementia people is not so easy task actually. So some people left the dementia people left alone in the facility,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, such kind. And so I said, how can I say it? Humans are alone in the end. After I watched, see a lot of people or such people.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. That's
And
an
and sometimes, as the kind of research says, the suicide rate, the senior citizens is higher, the senior citizens who live with their family or people. So sometimes people feel loneliness stronger in the group than being alone.
absolutely. Ken, are you from Japan?
Oh yes.
Yeah, just checking. What is the general culture of
Mhm.
older people in Japan? Do they generally stay with their family or not?
Traditionally, we are living in a big family. At that time, they stayed inside family. But nowadays, we tend to be a nuclear family, so mostly senior citizens are living alone or in a facility, nursery house, not nursery care house.
Hmm. I think that's really one of the worst things about society these days. I hate that about my culture. Because I just think, when you've had your whole life and all of those things have happened to you, and then you have to live in a place where your family visit you once a week, and it just makes me depressed thinking about it. I think some cultures are much better at dealing with this than mine. Faisal, tell us about your culture. Remind me, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Indonesia, so my culture is a little bit uh and not too isolation. It's kind of, yeah, but some culture in the east of Indonesia kind of isolate themselves. For example, Papua in the east, where
Hmm.
the people isolate themselves by spending their society in the jungle and find them kind of ancient humans do about that. So they don't accept the new culture of kind of that because they say new culture is kind of bad for them, and then yeah, and because of that, where the west of Indonesian people don't familiar with the east, so a lot of people kind of make um, a faction kind of that, make divide their society into
Yeah.
two, west and east, yeah, kind of that.
All right. So there's quite a division within your country on that aspect of culture.
Mhm.
Wow, that's fascinating. I never knew that. Thank you, Faisal.
Yeah.
Let's ask Jade. Jade, what happens in Sweden?
I think Sweden people enjoy solitude.
Yeah?
Yeah, here is weather condition is not very good, especially in winter. Everybody stay home and light the candle to enjoy a warm outside. So I think for Swedish people generally is they are cold in their outline. Yeah, but I think this depends on the weather. When summer is coming, every Swedish people is express their another side.
Absolutely. You know what, Jade? I think that British people and Swedish people have something in common there.
Very much, actually.
The weather has much more of an impact on your culture than you think, perhaps.
In England, you every day, raining every day. Sometimes worse than Sweden, I feel.
Not as cold, but it's definitely dreary. That's for sure. Although, having said that, apparently the weather's not too bad over there right now, so that's okay. Michael, tell us about your culture. What happens with old people?
What? With old people? Well, depends on each person. I think they could live they have like their homes or apartments, and their like relatives comes to visit them, like their children, if they live in the same city or something. But they could live like with their children. So basically, parents live with their children, yeah, and their children take care of them. And of course, they could live in was that place where like they live, all the elderly people live.
Yeah, an elderly person's home or residential area, or there's loads of names. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, elderly people home, so they could live there. So it depends on each person. There is not like mass culture, like in culture and mass. So all the people they live only like that, or it depends. It depends.
All right, so it's basically personal choice.
Yeah, it's based on the choice, because some people they like to live alone, for example, like elderly people, but some would like to live with their children, so it's kind of mixed.
Yeah, all right. So that sounds pretty good. Let's just ask Carmen before we go. Carmen, tell us what it's like in Spain. Is it changing? What happens when you get older? Do you live with your kids or?
Well, it depends on the condition you are. I mean, if you don't have any physical problem, you stay in your own house. If not, it depends. It depends.
All right. So there's not really any sort of traditional norm that happens.
No,
much.
because before, grandparents used to live in the house with the kids, but I think nowadays both the couple they work, so they can't take care of the parents. So sometimes they go to a residential or whatever. Depends. But still, I think we've got this culture of being a family all together. Not only your family and your children, but the grandparents too.
Yeah.
And we visit them quite a lot. And for instance, what I like to point out about talking about loneliness in the old people. I've got my mother-in-law. She's been depressed for the past 4 years, and there's no way to get her out. It's like he's like, I mean, he doesn't have any hobbies. He's got a lack of purpose for everything. Hasn't got any meaning in life. So I think sometimes when you feel alone, it can be more serious than that. I mean, right now she's sick with depression, and so it's not that old people has, as you said before, perhaps it's because the technology that we've got now, for the younger people, it helps us a little bit because we can spend time there, but they don't have this knowledge for that. So in fact, they haven't got much to do during the day. So sometimes you don't have enough interest for things or hobbies or whatever. It can lead to depression.
Yeah, for
That's what
sure.
I think.
I have to agree with you there, Carmen. I think that's something that we need to address. I don't know how to do that, but I think for older people, this is probably, maybe for them it's the worst. Yeah, for sure. Right, well, guys, we're going to have to wrap it up.
One more point I want to, while Carmen was talking about that woman, I remember that I read an article, English article, and there was written, if you are feeling like lonely, or you are kind of sad or something, go check yourself for hidden depression. It's it's very common for people from cities or something to have this kind of hidden depression. Yeah, have you ever heard of?
No.
No? Okay, so hidden depression, and it's very common, and people don't know about that they have, and they should go to take medicine, something, antidepressants, or something like that.
Yeah. All right. Jade, yes, I can speak Chinese. Not very well. I could speak it pretty well back in 2009, but right now, no. All right, guys.
Explain why I'm technically from I'm Swedish, because I was original from China.
Ah, all right.
I live in Europe for 20 years, so that's why I asked you.
I see. Okay, that explains it, Jade. And what part of China are you from?
Let me think. East. I think it's east part.
A particular city, or?
East part, around the Shanghai there.
Okay, all right. I haven't been to Shanghai. I lived in Tianjin, near Beijing. Yeah.
I know.
Right.
It is. It's 20 years is very far for me now. I'm totally.
Sure is.
Yeah, I'm totally Swedish now.
You're totally Swedish. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Great class. Some really great contributions. I will have to let you go in case you've booked another class and you're going to be late. The other teachers will hate me. So have a great day, all of you, and I hope to see you again soon. And thanks for participating.
Thank you for the class, Amy. Have a nice day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.